What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football, Sis. We are so excited to dive into Week 8 matchups as we face the dreaded Bye-Pocalypse. But before we dive in, how you doing, Ange? How was your fantasy football weekend?
I'm doing good. My whole weekend was made just a little bit better because I got to spend it with you. And it just makes life so much better when we get to be together. And then we got to spend some of that morning together watching that actually pretty good, not all the way good for me because I had some players on the team, but international game, which is always fun to watch an international game. And then we got to watch some of the 1 o'clock games. Took a little siesta on your couch, but snuggle with your dog.
We fell asleep during the 9:30 game. Like, that's how ratchet that was. You fell asleep during the 1 o'clocks too? You double napped?
Oh, no. I don't know when I fell asleep.
We fell asleep at like 10:30. So like we got up, we had a whole morning, we had breakfast.
You're right.
And then we watched the games. And before I know it, I was like, well, the Rams were like blowing out the other team. And like, it just wasn't fun. And I fell asleep and my Oura ring clocked like a solid 40-minute nap of like good deep REM. I was like, that was after 3 fucking cups of coffee too. Like, fuck
you did have a lot. Yeah.
I know.
But other than that, then I on my way home, listened to games in the car for 3 hours. So that made the ride go a little bit quicker.
Always faster.
Watched some night games with my husband. It was a pretty good, solid watching of the football week. Playing of the football week, not so great. How was your week as far as fantasy football goes?
Oh, fantasy football was good. I was projected to win in all 3 of my leagues for like most of the day. I was riding high. Felt real good about myself. Won 2 out of the 3. Still feel really good about that. There was a little saga about last night, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we're in the super flex league, right? All of our listeners are in it with us. Jesus Christ. The girl I played against, first of all, top scorer in the league that week, didn't even fucking flex 2 quarterbacks. She didn't even fucking flex 2 quarterbacks and absolutely destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed me.
I didn't even notice.
We had Gatson. Who the fuck played Gatson this week? I was like, did you predict the fucking future?
She must have, because I went in there, because I have number 1 on the waiver wire. I was like, I'm going to get in there and grab him. And I was like, somebody already has him.
Oh, her.
Couldn't believe it.
Looked at my husband, Drew. First of all, she had Gatson. She had Justin Herbert. She had Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, and Gatson, who has 4 roster players from the same fucking team.
Oh, I know.
The entire Chargers team absolutely destroyed me.
I think she is a Chargers fan. I think now I know who you played. That just from her profile, from what I've seen on like when she joined the group. Yeah. But that is like, because usually that does not go your way, right?
Never.
You don't play that many,
don't do that.
And they all lock in the same time. But good for her.
I know. Whole offensive unit was like, here you go. We won this game for you, and we destroyed Amanda. Yeah, I was like, fuck that.
Picking my nose went down.
I know. Damn it. Anyways, my other 2 leagues I won. Sundays for the Girls is our other league, girls league that we've been in for like 5+ years at this point. Took home the W. And I had to stay up until like 1:30 in the morning to make sure I secured that W for the record.
Oh, it was a closey.
Yeah, I had a Mekabuka, and it was the question of like, do I play him or had Jameson Williams? And I'm like, you know what? I had 15-point buffer. I had Kenneth Walker and either Mekabuka or Williams to go. And she only had CJ Stroud. So I was like, I got a 15-point buffer. I have 2 players. She has 1. Feel confident, right? Oh, goose egged. I got goose egged by Jameson fucking Williams. And I was raging against humanity at that point. Like, you're joking. I was so mad. And then I'm like, okay, it's like I go to bed at like 9. And that game didn't even start till 10 Eastern. And, you know, we're Eastern Standard Time. Obscene. And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'm like, it's okay. Kenneth Walker will hook me up. Motherfucking Zach Charbonnet can go to hell. He can go to hell. Sniping 2 touchdowns. Like, they are so committed to not letting Kenneth Walker. First of all, it was Kenneth Walker's birthday. Okay. Can you let the homeboy score?
Come on.
So mad. So then I won by 4 points. Like, by the skin of my teeth, won by 4 points. Thank goodness.
With the goose egg.
But you took home the closest of close victories. I got to pull it up. Do you remember your score?
It was like tenths. Like, 0.39 to 0.27, or it was something weird like that.
It was obscene. And I remember it. Okay. So Ange won with 137.92 points, and her opponent had 137.24.
Yeah.
Like tenths.
I was the opposite, where I went to bed knowing I lost. I lost both leagues. I don't care. Whatever. I'll chalk it up as another loss. And I think I've mentioned it before that my dogs get me up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So I got up, and then at that point, you know, it was like maybe like 11:30. And I'm like, wow, this game is just like kind of starting, right? And then I start seeing things come in. Dalton Schultz, big for me. Big time.
Dalton Schultz, baby.
And then we were together when I made the abysmal choice to drop the Rams.
It wasn't a bad choice. Well, I was like, you know what? It's just funny because like the first game and the last game, that's like, you had to wait.
It was such a like that, like, clench your butt cheeks. We always say clench your butt cheeks moment. And I just went into that going to bed and I thought, come on, Houston, do it for me. And they did. And I did not think I would win, but here we are. And that's fantasy football.
Agreed. And the fact that Houston lost with that type of defensive performance is obscene.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. It was crazy. So
it was a very typical fantasy football weekend, right?
It was.
The highs, the lows, the drama, the stress, the high blood pressure. We love it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that leads us right into the plays of the week. What was your play of the week then from this insane fantasy football week?
Well, I don't have CD on my team, but I was really glad to see him back. And we're going to talk about how people feel because I know Amanda feels so great that he's back because you also have Dak, correct?
I do have Dak and CD.
Okay. So Dak CD stack people are just in hog heaven. Amanda's one of those people, but he made a killer catch, had a great target, broke a tackle, had a tutty, and it was just true CD Lamb fashion, right? We saw him. He's back. He told everyone he's back. Don't forget about me. I kind of think managers missed him so much, and we waited out the storm, or you guys waited out the storm, right? Mm-hmm. Did what you had to do, got that return for your investment of waiting. And like I said, Dak, because I was about to say CD and Dak stack owners are living large today. So good for you guys.
Right when he had a big catch, I'm like, I weathered this storm, baby. I weathered this storm. Yes. I love to see it. That's when injuries come back and you're just happy about it. And you're like, if you can get through that, you can get through anything, right? Well, even though this game ended up being, number one, probably the best NFL football game on, New York Giants versus the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Absolute asinine, insane shit. Because I also have Bo Nix in another league, which the man that you are, Bo Nix. But this was my favorite play in the New York Giants game. Okay, so Jackson Dart throws the ball to a wide receiver. Ball bounces off of his arms, and Theo Johnson snags up the ball and then ends up scoring the touchdown. It was just like, in my opinion, I have had like all of these good vibes from the Giants, right? They're like vibing together. And I'm a little woo-woo, okay? If you didn't know it, I'm a 200-hour registered yoga teacher. Your girl can get a little manifestation woo-woo-y on your ass, and that's how we do shit, okay? So I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, this is good vibes. When you speak positive affirmations, good shit comes back. You get the ball off the ricochet. Well, then they ended up losing. And so if I could do a little Jackson Dart whisper, it'd be like, bro, don't let the good vibes fade. I know you're pissed. I know you're mad. But like, let the good vibes happen because good shit happens when we believe in ourselves. Damn it. But that was my favorite play because it was just like, that could have went so poorly. And if it were the Browns, it would have went poorly, right? Because they had bad vibes. Just saying. It would have vibe shift.
Absolutely.
It would have been. All right. Who takes your vet of the week cake for the week?
Vet of the week for me is Javonte Smith. Finally saw his badass abilities. Not only him, but I got to give a little credit to AJ Brown. And for those of you who waited AJ Brown out and didn't just say, what do I do? I'm going to drop him. I'm going to get rid of him. But if you did get rid of him and you got a lot out of it, good for you. But so he just was on fire in week 7. I mean, I was driving home at this point, so I had to kind of listen. And then at that point, maybe I went in to get gas. I came back, looked at my phone, and there's an 85-yard or 87-yard bomb down the field, right? And then I watched the replay later, and you see his like little like highlighter shoes running down. I'm like, yeah, skinny boy, get it.
He's so skinny.
So skinny. And he had an interview after the game, and he looked like a really wee little boy, very wee little boy. But Philly's offense, I think, is kind of charging up. I'm sad to see Saquon kind of maybe taking a little bit of a back seat. I'm not mad. I'm a Devonta Smith manager, so I'm feeling good. Who was your vet of the week?
Oh, CMC, baby. I mean, the man at this point, we're going to see him play fucking quarterback at some point. I mean, he's going to do it all. I know. The entire offense is running through CMC, which to me just shows like how powerful of a player he is because you know that every team he faces, their defensive scheme is scheme against CMC. And the 49ers are like, bet. we can scheme around. He's that good that we can scheme him around you because I know you're going to target him and we'll find ways to get him in. I mean, George Kittle was a glorified blocker for CMC. That was the whole game plan was just block so CMC can get as many touches, passes, yards as he possibly can. He looks wonderful. If you ended up taking a shot on him, I know everyone was like holding their breath with the calf injury, you know, McCaffrey's. The fear of McCaffrey's was real, but like he's good. Even at this point, if McCaffrey were to get injured, like you've got good usage out of him. So like you're happy. You're not, let's put it this way, like you're not losing if you have CMC. You're winning. And he's back to that like quintessential 2023 CMC where he's just absolutely winning you the league. So welcome back, CMC. We love to see it. How about your rookie of the week?
Rookie of the week was Travis Hunter. As much as I kind of didn't love that game, right? We already said we kind of snoozed a little in that game, but Travis Hunter, we finally saw him play 100% of offensive snaps, which I think is where he belongs. Don't try to split time. Just pick a role, pick a lane, do your thing. He caught 8 of his 14 targets, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Yes, they lost in that game. Yes, we didn't see the greatest offensive showing from the Jaguars or Jacksonville. Yeah, but who cares? Fantasy doesn't really matter about all that, right? We also saw BTJ leave the game. If that becomes a more serious injury, Travis Hunter is right there to kind of take the reins, which I don't mind. I think he's looks like a more reliable option for Trevor Lawrence. They fit together a little bit more than maybe he and BTJ do. So I think Travis Hunter, there's a lot of T's on that team, is going to move ahead being a really good. We're going to see him kind of start to flourish, I think.
Agreed. I love it. He also was super effective in defense too. Like
he
shut down receivers. I was like, good for you, buddy.
Right.
He just, he seems like a good dude. So you hope the best, right? All right. My rookie of the week was a rookie that also kicked my ass this week, Oronde Gadsden. Which, I'm sorry, does that not sound like Gadsden? Like, isn't there a Disney prince that Gaston?
Oh, Gaston.
That's whatever. Every time I say it, it reminds me of Gaston. I have no idea why, but that's how my brain
doesn't
works.
look like it, but
not at all. 0% probably, but no.
Right?
Oronde Gaston, who I practice saying his name more times than I'd like to admit. Massive breakout performance this week. Caught 8 of his 10 targets, 183 yards, and his first NFL touchdown. We love to see it. This is one of the greatest single game rookie tight end performances of all time. So like you love a good like stat that says, dude, not only did you have a great performance, you were one of the best performing rookie tight ends ever to do it. So like good for you, buddy. Love to see it. Those are our rookie and vets of the week. Let's get into a little bit of a roundup for the week. I just want to go over some highlighted players from each position. Obviously our top performers for quarterback. God, Bobo Nix, we saw him really come out and score a big point game. Mind you, he had all of like 6 points through the third quarter. I was so mad. I have Daniel Jones and Bo Nix in one of my leagues, and I chose Bo because I had the Bo Sutton stack. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go Bo. It'll be fine. I was livid. Mad. I thought I was going to lose to the only Owen team that I'm playing against in this league. And I was like, good God, I hate you, Bo Nix. And then I took all of my words back because, my God, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart, Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes all had absolutely banging quarterback performances. Obviously, running backs, we know most of them. CMC, Jonathan Taylor continues to be that guy. Quinshon Judkins with a beautiful bounce back performance. Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, who looked great, by the way. Like, ran routes beautifully. Speed was great. Really liked watching him play. He wasn't someone that I typically like to watch either, and he looked wonderful in this week. Wide receiver-wise, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave. The dudes came back and said, we're still those guys, right? Obviously, tight ends, Oronde.
I think you spelled it weird in our notes here, but yes, there's another O in there, which would help.
There's another O in there. Okay. Gadsden, Trey McBride, Pat Freiermuth, weirdly enough, which there was like a meme where it was like, when I see Pat Freiermuth on the free agency in like 1 year, I was like, awkward. Jake Ferguson and Daniel Bellinger, all top tight ends on the week. And then defense, the Cleveland Browns. I had them too.
Me too.
Oh, that was an exciting one. I was like, hell yes, Tua, keep throwing those picks, baby. So we had the Browns, the New England Patriots, which we had them as a stream of the week, the Panthers, the Dallas Cowboys, which was a weird rogue defense that performed well. And the Chicago Bears as well, which again, wasn't expecting that, but it is what it is. And some underperformers. We watched Justin Fields get benched mid-game. Whoop,
Poor
whoop,
buddy.
whoop. Caleb Williams, how'd that feel in?
Oh my God. It wasn't as bad as if I had Tua as a starter.
That's
if
true.
I would have had Tua in there thinking he's good. When I saw 1 point or 1 point, I was like, no. I think Quinn Ewers, who came in after him, had more, and it was only 2.
But sure of it. Yeah, bad.
So
bad.
It didn't feel great. No.
Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels left with that injury too. Running back wise, Bill, Ja'Cory, JCM himself had a struggle bus. Ashton Jeanty, Alvin Kamara. They just did not perform. Unfortunately, I do have this wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. 2.6 points. He can waddle his way out of my lineup.
Oh, big time.
Right? Drake London, Quentin Johnston, not a great performance either. Tight end wise, the goose egg of George Kittle, if you survived it. I think Darren Waller, he goes too, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, because he left the game. Yep, because it was an early exit. Yep.
Just your tight end goose egg. Sorry about that. We were really all hot on Waller. That's just unfortunate. And then, we can talk about the worst uniforms in the NFL.
It needs to be talked about. The LA Chargers banana uniforms. They looked like literal bananas running around. Maybe they thought, let's get some hype like the Savannah Bananas. I don't know.
I know. I was like away from somewhere and I walked in and I'm like, that was a decision. That someone made a choice, the wrong one, but someone made a choice.
Yes. It was like aggressive on the eyes. Like it was hard to watch. It was just very hard to watch.
Well, they had like a good color scheme. Like
they
all baby blue would have been fine. All I could think about is how dorky Herbert looked in all banana yellow. It's like when mom put you in a school outfit and you roll to school.
And you're like, womp womp.
I had to wear this today. They looked ridiculous. That's a no for me. They can change those uniforms.
Don't bring those back, Chargers. Don't do it.
Don't do it. All right, a little injury update here. Jaden Daniels, we saw him exit with a hamstring injury. They did notate that it's not anything super duper serious. Likely going to miss week 8, but shouldn't be a long-term injury. Bryce Young suffered a high ankle sprain. He's expected to miss week 8, probably several weeks. So we will have the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton himself.
Oh boy.
He'll step on in. He didn't expect me to say that. Your eyes were like, whoa. Cole Kmet exited the game.
They're all ginger. They're all redheads.
The gingers are coming back just for you, man.
Ginger boys are back in town.
The ginger boys are back in town, baby. Cole Kmet left with a back injury. Datavian Wicks didn't return, calf injury. Darren Waller, pec injury. They did come out and say that it wasn't like a torn pec, so it's not season-ending surgery, but he is going to be considered week to week. Likely going to miss a couple weeks, though, so just keep that in mind. Jackson Dart did hurt his ankle in the game. He came back, but just notate just in case something were to come up. I guarantee you won't let it. Keandre Miller, torn ACL, out for the season. So that does take Keandre Miller out of the picture for the Saints, which could elevate Alvin Kamara even more. Mm-hmm. Mike Evans. I think
everybody, just because he's a cool dude, shed a tear for poor Mike Evans last week.
And honestly, they treated it like he wasn't completely unconscious on the field. They went over and I was like, that man is not, he's not.
You don't lay on it the field like this for an extended period of time as a grown man.
And they got him up and I'm like, could we not cart him off the field? This is Mike Evans. Can we get a cart?
Right.
No, they walked him off the field. He looked like he was going to vomit. I was like, oh, so much pain. So poor Mike Evans. Nico Collins, concussion, awkward. And then Penix is dealing with a foot injury. So I think it's like a bone bruise, essentially. So just keep your eyes on it. Maybe he gets rolled out for week 8, but just monitor it just in case something comes up. So those are our injuries. Those are our updates from the week. We're going to dive right on headfirst into our sit starts for the week. But as you guys know, it's week 8, the Bye-Pocalypse. So we have the Cardinals, the Lions, the Jags, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks all on bye. So buckle up, ladies. We've got an interesting week of filling some fucking holes in your roster. Yes. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with our first game of the week, which is Minnesota Vikings versus the Chargers. Let's get into it.
Not Savannah Bananas.
Oh, not Savannah Bananas. They're going to stay at home, hopefully. Maybe they only bring those out once a year. Maybe they got enough ridicule because even the announcers were like, that's not good, right?
No.
And no, it
had
wasn't.
To have.
Female touch, it was bad.
Yes, we never talked about, a side note, about the tortilla-looking jerseys that the Cardinals had one week. It looked like a literal tortilla, like a tortilla you make a burrito out of.
Oh, because of the color of them.
The color. It had speckles on it. And then when you look closer, you just couldn't unsee a burrito. Well, maybe you'll see a burrito now.
Personally, I like, because I like the Bills, like those speckly Bills ones. Like,
they
wore those. I like those. I don't mind that. We couldn't have done an all white with light blue speckles, or yellow speckles for the Chargers. Like, you could have yellow speckle painted it.
Yeah, they need to call up Oregon, because Oregon always is like on point with their uniforms.
Can we get
and maybe tone it down a little?
A lot. I was like, you can color block a lot of colors. You can go color on color for a lot of colors. Like, even the shitty browns looked fine in all brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yellow is not the color. All right, let's dive into the Chargers versus Minnesota versus the Chargers. So JJ McCarthy was ruled out for week 8. So Carson Wentz is still the starter. I'm not considering him. Aaron Jones also is likely still going to be out week 8. He hasn't even came back for practices yet. So likely going to miss time. That does leave, obviously, the conversation for Jordan Mason, but I'm going to go over some clear starts here. So obviously, we're going to start Justin Jefferson. He's not someone you're going to sit down at all. And then kind of like a sit-start conversation is Hawkinson. There's a lot of guys on bye this week. Hawkinson's a fine streaming start. He's always going to feel a little bit scary because you don't know if he's going to perform well or not well at all, but he is someone you can go ahead and throw into the lineup this week as well. Some guys that we're going to talk about, obviously running back Jordan Mason. With Aaron Jones being out, that does elevate him in my brain. So I think he's someone you can start specifically with the Bye-Pocalypse. However, I would start guys like Swift. I would start Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, all above Mason this week. So if you're deciding between any of those guys, I do go them over Mason. I would, however, potentially talk about starting Jordan Mason definitely over Ramondre Stevenson this week. Ramondre Stevenson is facing a particularly difficult defense in the Cleveland Browns, so I don't love him this week. I also think Jalen Warren's going to have one hell of a time against the Green Bay Packers this week as well. So like you could go down the rabbit hole of going Mason over Warren if you're making that decision. I'm not saying that you should sit Jalen Warren altogether, but if you're making that sit-start decision, it's a question to be had there.
I think if there's any team that is going to make Ramondre Stevenson fumble, it's probably the Cleveland Browns. So
I'm here for it. I
like, that choice.
Yeah. And then the other kind of iffy wide receiver here, and I'd probably lean him as a start, is Jordan Addison. Obviously he had a great week this week, so I think he's someone you can start. I would start Addison over like Wan'Dale Robinson, Addison over Waddle, Addison over Bourne. The only guy I might think about, or there's not too many players that I'm honestly going to consider starting over Addison this week. So I think he is a pretty safe start. But if you have any sit-start questions, obviously you guys can always let us know in the Patreon about if you should sit or start Jordan Addison.
And having Carson Wentz still as the quarterback, I think gives Jordan Addison a little bit more of an upside, in my opinion. A little bit stronger of a throwing veteran there for him.
Yeah. For sure. All right, moving over to the Chargers. Again, there's a lot of guys who you're just going to go ahead and start this week. There's a ton of quarterbacks on bye, so Justin Herbert likely gets thrown into your lineup. Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, both starts for me. There's some guys to talk about. Now, I think Kamani Vidal is a clear start. Now, here's why. Last week, we saw Saquon Barkley struggle, right? But they basically schemed up. The Vikings probably schemed up their entire defensive around stop Saquon Barkley. Typically, the Minnesota Vikings gives up points to the pass or to the rush to cover the pass. You're going to assume they're going to target the shit out of the pass, leaving Kamani Vidal open because the Chargers passing offense is lucrative. There's so many weapons. So I think Vidal is going to be a great option this week. I would give him the go. I would go Vidal over Bill, JCM. I would go Vidal over Stevenson as well. So just some things to keep in mind there. I already said Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey as starts. I'll say it again, though. Those guys can go in. Quentin Johnston is a conversation. He's like a maybe start, kind of a risky start. I would start Michael Pittman, DK, Flowers, Devontae Smith, all over Johnston. I would, however, go Johnston over someone like Shakir, just because I think we can rely a little bit more on the deep threat of Johnston than Shakir, but who knows?
I would agree with that. Yes. I mean, you have Josh Allen behind the ball, but Justin Herbert has been balling out.
Great.
So I wouldn't take that into the conversation too much. So
Agreed. And then obviously, Gadsden himself, you want to roster him. If for some reason he didn't get picked up on waivers when you're listening to this, like you should go pick him up right now. This is going to be a harder matchup for him in this week number 8 matchup. But if you need to start someone due to buys, you can go ahead and throw him in the lineup as well.
I think Chargers might be something you could look at for this week as a stream if you really need a defense, but nothing special.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't go Minnesota unless you're really hot on them shutting down that offense. But I think there's a lot of weapons there. Maybe the Chargers. Yeah, I agree.
If you want,
I think that I maybe could potentially say it's a high point scoring game potentially.
Yeah, true. I'm moving into Miami versus Atlanta. It's cold in Miami. Tua is a clear start. He just looking trash.
Clear start, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Don't have anyone starting that, man.
Clear sit, ladies. Clear sit. We are not starting Tua Tagovailoa. I do that all the time. I see S and just want to say start. I want Tua to be better. But clear sit for me. A clear start, really the only clear start on this team for me would be Devon Achane. He's really the only bright light in this offense. So hopefully he can kind of make them do some good things. Now, on some conversation pieces, Jalen Waddle, I am going to sit this week. There are guys that I'm going to play over Waddle, and I think it's really simply because of the poor quarterback play. Do we even see Tua make it through a whole game? I don't know. Addison, Flowers over Waddle. One that I think we should talk about would be, I would personally start Wan'Dale Robinson over Jalen Waddle this week. And you might question, well, the Philly defense might be a little bit tough against the Giants, blah, blah, blah. I still think that's a better bet with Jackson Dart behind the ball. I think he is so much more explosive, more reliable, even though he's a rookie, than Tua behind the ball as quarterback. So I'm going to sit Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I would do that same thing. The only guys I probably might like take a beat and start Waddle over is maybe some of those like very, very rogue. Like if you're thinking about starting a backup running back, like no, I would flex Waddle over those guys.
True.
Like, I mean, even if you think like Kayshon Boutte versus Jalen Waddle, like at this point, you're just trusting Drake May a little bit more than Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
Now, Waddle did do leave with an injury temporarily, so that is something to watch. Yeah. So just like keep that in mind. But like, unfortunately, like I probably have to start Waddle in one of my leagues, which is just unfortunate.
And you might be in that position, right?
Yeah.
And by no means do I think he's going to goose egg you.
No,
I think he's going to make some sort of play. But 2.6 does suck. Yeah. But I also have other Jordan Whittington. We didn't talk about Jordan. No, that's Jordan Whittington. Whoop. Okay. No other wide receivers to really talk about here. And then Darren Waller looks like he's out. He is out for week 8. So we are not going to put in Darren Waller. Guys that you can look to stream to replace Darren Waller. Evan Ingram's a great option. Cade Otton's a great option. Juwan Johnson is another great option. Yes, we are talking about Juwan Johnson again. Yeah, and then I'm sitting the Miami defense. On to the Atlanta side of the ball, there are some definite clear starts. You're starting Bijan Robinson, starting Drake London. You're starting Kyle Pitts this week, and you are starting their defense. They have a strong defense. Guys to kind of talk about would be Michael Penix. He is, in my opinion, a start in maybe a deep or a super flex league. If you need to kind of fill that quarterback position, he has a good matchup this week against Miami. I think we've seen most teams do pretty good against Miami, so he's a good bet there. We saw Joe Flacco destroy Miami, right? And then another guy to kind of talk about, Darnell Mooney. I'm going to say he's a sit. Nothing really special there. He if you really need to reach for someone and you want to kind of trust someone, he wouldn't be a bad option. He's only rostered in 30% of leagues. He might be available for you.
Yeah. A lot of people dropped him after that injury. So, he just came back last week. He didn't have a shit performance. Not excited about it, but like if you need a spot start, probably more reliable than Waddle this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, there we go. Good insight there.
It's conversation. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. All right, I'll move on to our next matchup here. We've got Jets versus Cincinnati. Oh, there's not a lot to talk about here, honestly. Like if I'm looking at the only people I'm starting Garrett Wilson if he goes. Obviously, you're going to give him the go. And I'm starting Breece Hall this week. That's really it. We can have the conversation of Isaiah Davis. Obviously, he's a sit for me unless you're like fucking desperate for a running back. But Breece Hall is still getting more snap count than Isaiah Davis. And it was just such a shitty game at that point. You're kind of just like, they're just trying anything to get their offense going. So I don't see Isaiah Davis continuing to get that much of a role. But if you're super duper desperate, I would start like Stevenson, Bill, Rico, Chuba, Pacheco, Mason, all above Isaiah Davis. So don't reach down that rabbit hole to like sit any of these guys. Like same with Jaylen Warren. Like don't think that Jaylen Warren's an auto sit and you play Isaiah Davis. You don't do that. Other than that, I'm really not playing anyone else on their team. I'm not playing a quarterback. I'm not going to take any of the wide receiver roulette bullshit that they have going on there. The only other guy is Mason Taylor. Here's the thing. I think he has a great matchup this week. He's a tight end for the Jets. My only issue is that their offense has been so bad. It's hard to trust their offense, right? I think Mason Taylor has the ability to do really well. So if you need a streaming tight end this week, Mason Taylor does have a good matchup technically, but like, will he actually perform? Who the fuck knows? So that's just a little bit of a toss-up situation there. And then I don't want this defense either. I don't want the Jets this week, in my opinion. They're playing Cincinnati Bengals. They've been scoring all over the place. I just don't think you want that offense. And I don't know if Sauce Gardner is actually going to play this week or not. He got hurt last game. So all the contextual information to keep in mind. From the Cincinnati Bengals side of the football, you're obviously going to auto start both Jamar Chase and welcome back T. Higgins. You can auto start T. Higgins as well, which feels good for me. Okay, it feels good for me. I think Noah Fant is a really great tight end streaming option if and only if all the other tight ends are out. If Mike Gesicki doesn't play again, Noah Fant's great. He had great production because he was the only tight end available. So like that works really good. I still think you have to play Chase Brown too, again, because Chase Brown is RB1. He's getting so much work. It's hard to sit him. And I know you look at this game from like a fantasy production standpoint, you're not happy, but he did have over 100 yards rushing on the ground, which is a big win. Like he looked good. When his O-line gives him time, he can find the hole and make the runs, right? He looked good. He just hasn't been getting enough time from his O-line. I would say just taper your expectations. You should probably expect 10 to 15 points from Chase Brown. You're probably not going to get much more than that. Joe Flacco is right. Agreed. Half the time. Yeah, me too. Joe Flacco. Streaming quarterback option this week. If you need a guy, you can go and throw him to your lineup. I would definitely go Flacco over like a Marcus Mariota. I'd go Flacco over a Carson Wentz. So like Flacco over those guys. Now I'm not going to like play Flacco over Herbert or anything crazy like that. But Flacco is a streaming option if you're really desperate for a guy. And then the Cincinnati defense, no, absolutely not.
Yes, nothing really great there on the Cincinnati, except they beat our poor Steelers. So there's lots of picks. Okay, moving into Cleveland versus New England. On the Cleveland side, you are starting Quinshon Judkins. You are starting Harold Fannin Jr. You are keeping an eye on the Njoku return. It's kind of day-to-day right now as far as we know so far. If he were to return, he's a good start as well. And then you are starting the Cleveland defense. I almost said offense. I'm backwards today. As far as sits, Dylan Gabriel still's not proven anything to be a start, so you're sitting him. You're also going to, we're going to talk about the Jerry Jeudy situation. Now, we might be a little bit torn here. I am sitting Jerry Jeudy. I don't see great things from him. There are too many drops that I just don't look at as favorable. I don't think it's going to be something that is going to go away anytime soon. I see the rookie quarterback throwing those shorter passes to guys like Harold Fannin, guys like David Njoku moving forward. So Jerry Jeudy is not a guy that I'm starting this week. I would rather take a shot on someone like Rashid Shaheed over Jerry Jeudy because he could make a big, giant boomer bust play. That's someone I want on my team. If I'm going to risk it for the biscuit, I'm going to try to go big. Also, I would play Troy Franklin over Jerry Jeudy. Connection with Knicks is great there. Jeudy doesn't seem to have a connection with Dylan. So I'm going to go with those guys as far as the Cleveland offense goes. Moving into the New England offense, Drake May is a start.
He looks so good. He looks so good.
So good. He looks good throwing, looks good running, all the things, looks like a baby, all the things. Starting Stephon Diggs, we are sitting Ramondre. I would not look for him. The Cleveland defense is just too strong at stopping the run. And I said it earlier, if anyone is going to force a fumble on Ramondre Stevenson, it is going to be the Cleveland Browns. So let's see that happen. I'm going to go guys like
the thing is like the question though is like, do you start Stevenson over like Manungai? I don't even know how to say his name.
You said it. You said it right.
Manungai or Allgeier, like clear backups. Are you gonna force him out of your lineup in those situations?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I wouldn't. I would go Stevenson over those guys.
Well, just Chicago faces Dallas. Oh man,
Chicago, Baltimore.
Baltimore. So a poor defense. So Manungai might be on my radar a little tiny bit there. I might think because the Baltimore is a little trashier as a defense, a little bit riskier. So if you just have like a grudge against Stevenson, then just ride that vibe. You can blame me. Pacheco, you can blame me. Go to social media and say, Ange made me do it, blah, blah, blah. So I would play guys like Pacheco over Stevenson, Dowdle clearly over Stevenson, even with those shared touches in the backfield with Chuba Hubbard. I'm still going to start Dowdle over Stevenson. You're sitting Trevion Henderson. I'm sad to say it, but it's time to forget about Trevion.
You could drop him.
Yeah. You could drop him. He's a droppable guy. And then another wide receiver to talk about would be Kayshon Boutte. He faces a hard defense in the Cleveland Browns. So you'll kind of always be holding your breath if you put him in the start. If you need somebody, he's someone that you can use. He's not a complete worthless, wide receiver. He's getting targets. I'd play guys like Alec Pierce over Boutte, Troy Franklin over Boutte this week. But Boutte is definitely a option, and I've said Boutte a lot of times. Boutte. And then Hunter Henry's a sit also for me. I don't like him against this matchup in the Cleveland Browns. I would start guys like Harold Fannin, Mason Taylor over him. Sorry, Jawan Johnson all over Henry. Just a personal preference with those guys versus Henry against the Cleveland defense.
Agreed. All right, we got Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll start with the Giants side of the football. Some clear guys that you can go ahead and start. And honestly, because this matchup is not so great, it's a little sketch. I think Cam Scatterbo is still a start. I'm going to keep rolling with him until either tells me otherwise, until Tyrone Tracy takes more opportunities away from him, or until homie just bulldozes his way through an injury, right? Like something like that, right?
He will. He'll break a full ass leg and keep on running.
He'll have his arm dangling and he'll be like, I'm good. Wrap it up. We're good. He'll be the guy who plays in a full cast, right? Like that's some shit that Cam Scatterbo would
crutches.
do. So I'm still going to start Cam Scatterbo. Now, here's the interesting part about this matchup is number one, the Giants are coming off of the Denver Broncos took that win away from them. They were ruling that game. That was a bad loss. And you could probably feel a palpable vibe shift happen for them where they were probably all angry and mad. Jackson Dart threw a pig-headed interception. He's a young rookie quarterback. It's a thing that happens. The kicker missed multiple extra points. It was awkward, okay? So that man's probably getting fired. So this is also a matchup where the Giants beat the Eagles just a couple weeks ago. The Eagles are probably coming out for blood. This is a home game for the Eagles. It's probably going to be intense. You can stream Jackson Dart if you have a fucking adult diaper on, okay? Because you're it's gonna
you
be
may soil your panties, ladies. You may soil the panties.
Sketcho decho situation. But I do like Jackson Dart. He's shown that he can show up in hard matchups. But I'm a little worried about him. I'm still going to go ahead and throw Cam Scatterbo in. I'm not going to play Tyrone Tracy.
Amanda, you are not throwing the good vibes at the Giants right now.
I know.
Throw the vibes.
I'm so scared about them. I'm so scared. But I like them as a team. Wan'Dale Robinson, again, it's funny because Wan'Dale just isn't a true wide receiver one. Could you imagine how good this team would be if they had Malik Neighbors?
Oh my God.
My God,
Jackson Dart connecting with Neighbors, it would be great.
It'd be amazing. Just Wan'Dale's doing his best, but this isn't the Wan'Dale versus Waddle conversation. We did say we'd go Wan'Dale over Waddle, but I'd probably go Quentin Johnston over Waddle. I'm sorry, Wan'Dale, Waddle. And I would go Romeo Doubs over Wan'Dale as well. Obviously, Higgins, Devontae Smith all over Wan'Dale. So Wan'Dale is kind of that risky start situation. So is Theo Johnson. It's again another very hard matchup for him. It's a very risky start. If you feel good about it, go ahead and do it. If you have a good gut check about it, go for it. It just is going to be a particularly hard matchup for that entire team. I know Daniel Bellinger did well. He's still not someone I'm going to start, though. I'd still sit. This is not even someone I'd really pick up off of the free agency either, for reference. Philadelphia Eagles are a little bit easier here. You're going to start Jalen Hurts. You're going to start Saquon Barkley. I know he had a bad week, but you just got to see that through. I've heard some mummers should I sit? No, you don't do that. Start him. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, start. Oh, God, I feel like I call the Dallas Goedert matchup wrong every fucking week. So 2 weeks ago, he had a particularly difficult matchup. I was sit him. Homie went off. This week, he had a good matchup, scored 4.8 fantasy points. This week, he has what we call a yellow matchup. It's mid. It's not perfect easy. It's not hard. It's right in the middle. So I don't fucking know. Right. I'd probably say you have to start Dallas Goedert.
Shoot your shot with the Goddard.
Shoot your shot with Goddard. We'll go ahead and say throw him in. And then I also like the Eagles defense. You could run that back there as well.
For sure. All right, moving into my next game, Buffalo versus Carolina. Buffalo's coming off of a bye. There are some very clear starts. Josh Allen, you are starting. James Cook, you are starting. Dalton Kincaid, if he is healthy, you are also starting. I think this offense is missing Dalton Kincaid, so we need Dalton Kincaid back. Buffalo's defense is also a very viable streamer for this week. Now, guys, to talk about on the Buffalo side, Khalil Shakir. he's got a kind of a guy that you might be a little bit tentative on. If you need someone to fill in a roster spot because you have someone on a bye, you might have to pop in Shakir. I probably will have to do the same thing because I have Shakir on my roster. I would start, obviously Romeo Doubs over Shakir. We talked about Wan'Dale over Shakir. That might be a little bit of a toss up there, just dependent on maybe the vengeance that Philly brings to the Giants offense, right? But we'll see. Keon Coleman is a non-start for me. Is he droppable?
He's droppable. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you need to free up a space for something because of the Bye-Pocalypse, he's a droppable dude.
It's like, I'm like nervous about it. Like the way we talk about it, I'm like, oh God, I got to prep it up.
It's like a national disaster. It feels like what is it? Like what's a hurricane? What do they call it? Like a hurricane and a typhoon. What are those? Natural disaster.
National. Yeah. Like we're going to be in the day after tomorrow with Bye-Pocalypse.
It's zombie shit, baby.
Zombies. All right. And then, like I said, Dalton Kincaid, pop him in there if he's healthy. But look for those other streaming options if you have him and you need somebody. Like we mentioned before, on the Carolina side, there's really not too much to talk about here. I mean, there's stuff to talk about, but nothing really that grand. I am going to start Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to start Rico Dowdle. Both of them, even with the 50-50 snap, they are both very viable. We saw Chuba start the game, get all the snaps in there, but then they moved to that 50-50 split. Dowdle did outperform him. It's going to continue with 50-50. They paid Chuba Hubbard. They're not getting rid of Chuba Hubbard. Another start for me is Ted McMillan on the Carolina side. And then some guys to kind of talk about. So Bryce Young is out for week 8 with a high ankle sprain. So Andy Dalton, what is he called?
The Red Rocket himself, baby.
The Red Rocket will be in. I can see him as a very viable streamer if you really need someone in deeper leagues. He's reliable. He's a little bit reliable. He's that Red Rocket arm. Veteran talent, for me, makes him better. We saw it. I mentioned it earlier. We saw it with the Carson Wentz thing. We're going to see it here. He's going to make an impact like we saw in week 7 with some guys. One of those guys is the what?
Xavier Legette.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say something like, are you going to say the name yet? Okay, is Xavier Legette, right? Definitely someone you should look at. Yes, it's a little bit maybe of a tougher matchup here in week number 8, but someone that you need to be grabbing off of waivers. I know I'm going to risk it for the biscuit with Legette. I don't care. I need him. Andy Dalton connected with him 5 out of 7 times. I forget. Some insane amount of times in the one quarter that they were together. Mm-hmm. Like he just looked at Legette and Legette was the guy for him. Jalen Coker returned last week from IR, wasn't really relevant, isn't going to be relevant in week number 8, but I think he's going to start emerging on that offense as we go throughout the season. So someone to keep an eye on. Tight ends are non-existent on the Carolina team really at all. And then I'm sitting the defense as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, Chicago versus Baltimore. So Chicago side of the football, obviously you're going to start DeAndre Swift. Like we already said, he looks really good. You're also going to start Rome Odunze. Like it's a good matchup. Hold the faith, hold the trust. I know Rome has kind of put us through the ringer. He did really well and then kind of fallen off. You're just going to trust that. DJ Moore is an interesting, like risky sit-start conversation. In my opinion, I would lean DJ Moore over Worthy, Shaheed, Booty, Alec Pierce. I think Moore is going to get a little bit more work, but that's dealer's choice. All of those guys really do fall in a very similar standpoint. I would go Moore versus Wan'Dale is such a hard conversation. I think Wan'Dale has a harder matchup.
Popping up.
I know. Wan'Dale has a harder matchup. Wan'Dale could potentially get more targets. So I might lean Wan'Dale. Mm-hmm. The issue becomes is like, how many targets do you think these guys are going to get, right? If, Booty only gets his 2 targets like he did last week and doesn't score a touchdown, you're upset. You're pissed, right? Where DJ Moore, I think, has a little bit more opportunity to get more touches. So do as you with that. It's a super risky start if you go that route. Same with Kyle Monangai. He's a sit unless you are fucking desperate for a running back. This is a great handcuff to Swift. They get 45% of the snap count. Will that continue? I don't know. Swift looks good. He's not getting replaced, right? We thought maybe they were bringing in a rookie to replace Swift. Swift didn't look good last year. That's not going to happen. Maybe they move to a 2-back system and do more of a 50-50 split. So if you want to take a shot on someone, you can go for it. You also got to start Caleb Williams. I know it's hard after a bad week, but like I'm not going to start like a Joe Flacco over Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams' upside of his running potential is just there. And you would hope for a bounce back week this week as well. So all the things to keep in mind. Luther Burden, no. And Loveland, I know Komet might be hurt, but I'm not going to take a flyer on Loveland until I know more, period. That's just my opinion. And then, honestly, the defense really depends on if Lamar goes or not. If Lamar doesn't go, maybe a streaming option. If Lamar goes, absolutely not. And I have a feeling Lamar will play.
I think
quarterback-wise,
he's going to push through.
Yeah, I think so too. But there has been rumbling. So we have the Ravens. Obviously, there's been some rumblings that Lamar didn't practice on Monday. So hold your breath. I think that because they're 1-5, if they lose 2 more games, they're out of playoff potential. I think they're going to try to get Lamar back to try to make sure that they can at least make the playoffs. They still want to run for a Super Bowl, right? And if they don't make the playoffs, they can't do that. So if Lamar plays, absolutely. Derrick Henry, trust the plot, right? Play him, just trust it. Same thing with Zay Flowers. Start with Lamar back. It's a good matchup. Good matchup for Zay Flowers. I don't want any part of Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely, and I also don't want any part of the Baltimore Ravens defense.
Yeah, neither do I. Glad I don't have them. So, all right, San Francisco and Houston. San Francisco side, you got to start CMC. That's a no-brainer if you're not starting him. George Kittle had a down week. We talked about him earlier in the show, but he should be a start as well. And then as far as other players, Brock Purdy should be back in week 8. I'm going to sit him. Houston defense.
I don't think Brock Purdy is going to be back week 8 for the record.
Really? I thought I read that.
No, there's been some rumblings that they're likely, they have not made a decision. He's still very up in the air. They've been winning so much with Mac Jones.
True,
that I think
you're right.
That if they could wait till he gets fully healthy and not risk re-injury, they probably will.
Okay. All right. So let's roll with Jones. I would say sit with Jones. Not going to start him this week against Houston. We're still seeing a banged up, San Francisco wide receiver room, right? We're still watching for the return of Pearsall. So we're going to kind of make it kind of a game time decision closer to game day. If he is playing, you are playing him. And then I think we're going to see more of an action from George Kittle. So that'll kind of help out that offense, definitely. And I'm sitting the San Francisco defense. As far as the Houston side goes, we don't have too many starts here. Nico Collins would be a start if he does not have that out with concussion. They have a little bit of a short turnaround this week, so we will kind of keep and monitor on that. Dalton Schultz is also a start in this week as well. And then some guys to talk about as far as the running or as far as the quarterback goes, CJ Stroud is a sit. We saw mediocre CJ Stroud in week 7. He came back and then he fizzled. I
know. Joe Flacco, CJ Stroud.
Joe Flacco.
Same.
I'm going Flacco.
How about Marcus Mariota, CJ Stroud?
I'm going to go Mariota. We saw him do good things. I'm going Mariota. So,
yeah, I agree. He also has running potential. I agree.
Yes. Running backs, we had Nick Chubb. We got Woody Marks. Now, Nick Chubb did not perform very well in week 7. Woody Marks just did better because he had a touchdown. Okay. If I had to pick between the two, and this is a bold statement, but I'm going to say it, I'm going to start Woody Marks over Nick Chubb. I feel better with his pass catching ability. I feel better with his maybe ability to catch touchdowns, to run in touchdowns. Nick Chubb just didn't look great. We kind of seen that wavering ability with Nick Chubb. Woody Marks is maybe a little bit fresher. I'm going to pop him in if I have him and if I need
more of the snap count.
He saw more of the snap count.
Yeah,
Exactly. Correct. So someone that if you need on buys, very startable. No really wide receivers to talk about on the Houston side besides Nico Collins. We talked about Dalton Schultz, and I'm starting the Houston defense. Hopefully,
love that.
I'm going to keep them.
You're going to keep it. Roll back. Run it back, baby.
I'm going to roll it back.
I love it. Also, Tampa Bay, New Orleans Saints. Let's get into it. So we saw a disappointing Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense last night, which was disappointing for all of us, okay? I still start Baker Mayfield, okay? You just don't it's Baker. We can't speak bad on Baker man himself, okay? No. You're starting Baker. You got to watch the situation unfold between Rachaad White and Bucky. I don't know if Bucky's coming back or not. If Bucky comes back, start Bucky. If Rachaad White plays and is the clear lead back, you can start Rachaad White. That's basically the toss-up. If Bucky's back, you are not even thinking about throwing Rachaad White into your lineup, okay? I don't think he's going to get enough work to be relevant like he was previously. Obviously, Mike Evans out and done for the year. Emeka Egbuka to start. As long as he plays, just make sure you keep monitoring health. He should go. We saw him perform as a great wide receiver when Mike Evans was out previously. That will happen again. We love that for him. The only other wide receiver I would take a flyer on, in my opinion, would be Tez Johnson.
Same.
I wouldn't take a flyer on Sterling Shepard, in my opinion. He just won't have as much fantasy relevance as Tez Johnson can. He looks like an explosive rookie wide receiver, and I love that. So I think he could potentially be someone that moves up into your roster at some point. And then same with K. Dotton. He's an easy start streaming option. Now with the hurt wide receiver room, that makes that decision even easier. Tampa Bay defense, I think, could be a potentially good streaming option this week versus the Saints as well. So you can feel comfy. That could also be like a free agency stream, meaning you're listening to this on Thursday. They could still be out there. And if you're like, my defense sucks and I didn't get anyone off waivers, you can go ahead and snag them.
Those are my favorite.
Me too. Favorite. I know. I love like making that decision late, and I'm like, fuck it, let's take a flyer. I like it. I'm in.
That was me in Houston.
Yes, you in Houston, baby. All right, New Orleans Saints, you're starting Chris Olave for sure, and you're starting Alvin Kamara as well. With Kendra Miller out, that's going to elevate more touches for Kamara, so you should see him get involved more. I would not be starting Spencer Rattler. Again, he hasn't been performing terrible, but it's not someone I feel like I really want to trust. Rashid Shaheed is a possible risky start, streaming start. When we say streaming start, it just means like you might only need him for this singular week with how many buys there are. You know, I would go Shaheed over Judy. I like Iomana versus Shaheed. That's a hard conversation. Alex should continue to get more work in that offense, but
is
they
Ridley
also suck.
Out in week 8?
Yeah, I think he'll be out in week 8.
Okay, so it'll be week out, then that may be changed, but they do suck.
They suck so bad. I might still say with Shaheed and just hope for the deep ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like, fuck it. Tight end, Juwan Johnson, we talked about him a little bit already. Like, most of the
Read
time.
what your coach says.
Oh, apparently not dead yet.
He read it and laughed so hard.
Apparently not dead yet.
He laughed.
I know. He was dropped by a lot of people, myself included, right? He became irrelevant very quickly. The biggest fear you always have is like fucking Taysom Hill's fantasy football or fantasy like nightmare. He's ruins lives, okay?
Yes.
Because he will snipe touches from your guy. He will throw the fucking football. He'll get in the end zone. We hate it, okay? Like Tyson Hill's gadget man. Like, God, you ruin fantasy football, Taysom. But Juwan Johnson is a good streaming option for this week in week 8 as well. And I don't want anything to do with the Saints defense.
Okay, moving on to Dallas and Denver. This is going to be very easy because you are starting everyone on the Dallas side.
You're
starting QB Dak Prescott, running back Javonte Williams, almost said Jadon Blue. I do want to mention Jadon Blue. He looked good. Okay, he's a good handcuff to Javonte Williams if he were to go down. Someone to keep an eye on. You are starting CeeDee Lamb. Duh. You are starting George Pickens. Duh. You are starting Jake Ferguson. Duh. We talked about that maybe the Dallas is a streaming defense, right? They're maybe not as booty hole as we thought, but I don't think I'm going to roll with that with Denver, especially with the performance of Knicks in week 7. So no. And then on the Denver side, starts would be J.K. Dobbins. If you have people on buys and you need someone to fill in, RJ Harvey could be a guy to look at, especially against that Dallas defense that isn't great and is really favorable to running backs. You're starting Cortland Sutton. You're starting Evan Ingram if you have him. If you don't have him, he's someone to look up as a streamer if he's available for you. And then you're starting the Denver defense. Even though they're playing against a very strong Dallas offense, you're still going to trust in the Denver defense. Now, guys to kind of talk about here on the Denver side would be that RJ Harvey discussion. So if you need someone kind of in maybe to fill in or to kind of mend some holes, as we say with the Bye-Pocalypse, someone that you can keep in mind. Troy Franklin's another guy. Now, in week 7, we saw Marvin Mims get was more fantasy relevant than Troy Franklin. I am still riding and dying with Troy Franklin. I like him. I think he's going to continue to get hot throughout the season. I think he's going to continue to connect with Bo Nix. At the end of that amazing, insane, not so cuckoo game, Bo Nix looked at him 10 times in their comeback. So he's someone that he's comfortable with. So I'm riding with Troy Franklin. I think I said Troy Franklin. But that's pretty simple there for the Dallas-Denver game. Should be a good game.
Bo Nix? Easy start, in my opinion, right?
Did you start with him? I might have missed him to go back.
I think he started way with JK.
I did. I was
like, did we go over Bobo? We start Bobo.
Sorry, Bobo. We talked about him already, so I thought we covered him, but we didn't.
It's all good. All right, let's go into this game and quick too, because different reasons. So Tennessee versus Indianapolis Colts. So Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard if you need him. I would go Vidal, Kamara, Williams, Mason all over Pollard. You're probably just going to chronically expect 10 to 12 points from Tony Pollard. If you really need a streamer this week, Tajay Spears, again, you probably expect 5 to 8 points from him though. Like no more. You're not going to get any more unless one of them happen to get in the end zone. They're just very, very consistent, low scoring dudes. So if you're desperate, Alec Iomana, Yeah. I don't know. We saw like the Chargers get the pass game going against the Colts. However, Cam Ward is not Justin Herbert. And so the offense is just hard to trust. I think if you have to start him, you could go for it. In my opinion, though, I would take a flyer on Booty, on Alec Pierce, on Shaheed, all over Allgeier Manor. And that's just my opinion. I feel good about that. Calvin Ridley's hurt. There's no tight end relevance. That team is just awkward. Other side of the football, the Indianapolis Colts, this is fun. You're starting Daniel Jones. You're starting Jonathan Taylor. You're starting Michael Pittman. You're starting Alec Pierce specifically if Josh Downs is out. And if Josh Downs does play, I still do think like he could also become a potential streaming option with how well Daniel Jones is passing that ball around. Tyler Warren, easy. Don't take him out of your lineup. Keep that man in there. And the Colts defense is a great defense for you this week as well.
Wonderful. I love it. I love some Danny Dimes. All right, moving into our next game. We got Washington Commanders versus Kansas City Chiefs. On the Washington side, we are looking at Jayden Daniels. If that injury is more severe than we think it might be, then Mariota will be in. We already talked about it, but Mariota is definitely someone that you can stream. He has some upside. He has rushing upside, things to look at.
Yeah. They did also officially rule that. I'm pretty sure Jalen
was he officially ruled out? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I leave work and then I come to here, I have like this little bit of window of time to check injury updates that come out kind of as I leave work. So I don't always get up to date on those, but Amanda's got me. So then JCM or Bill, we're sitting Bill. Don't really have much faith. We also saw those that three-way timeshare kind of return a little bit. Maybe they're not as comfortable with Bill. I'm not sure kind of what's going to happen moving forward. He should have crushed Dallas. He should have ran all over them, and he didn't. But they did kind of surprise everybody a little bit.
The offense, what did just was weird. I, in my opinion, he's not a sit. In my opinion, he's a start with the Bye-Pocalypse. I mean, you're probably going to have to throw him in your lineup.
If you have to.
Time, but he did get 49% of the snap count. So he didn't truly split in the 33%.
You saw the other guys, I guess, make more work than we had seen the previous week. And that kind of scared me a little bit. But
yeah, I still think he's a start over your probably options this week, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's hard. In my opinion, it would be hard to sit him with how many people are out right now. Because I'm going to start JCM over RJ Harvey, over Monangai, over all of those guys. The only guys I'm going to start over JCM is Swift, Dobbins, Williams, but those are clear starters anyways.
Right.
You probably have to play JCM this week and just hope that he has a nice old bounce back week for you.
Just come on, Billy boy. Start dependent would be Zach Ertz, tight end. If you need a tight end, he's someone to start. And then you need to keep an eye out on the return of Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. If they are both back, they are both kind of plug and play people. So kind of watch their progress as we go through the week going up to game day. Number 2 team would be Kansas City. There's some really good auto starts here. Patrick Mahomes, start. Rashee Rice, start. Duh. Travis Kelce, start. Still reliable, still relevant. Some of the guys to talk about, Isaiah Pacheco. If you're, in a really deep league, maybe you think about, do I start him? But there's really nothing to think about. You are starting Pacheco. There's really probably no one else you have that's better than Pacheco, right? Talked about Rashad Smith, really not someone to think about as far as waiver wires go. You might be looking to stash him for future play.
I think the conversation is are we watching the comeback or the precursor of Rashad Smith taking away Kareem Hunt's role? That's what I think we're currently watching, but I don't want to risk it yet, but that's probably what we're going to see happen.
Right. And that the running game in Kansas City is by far subpar to everything else. So if they can rebuild that, they're pretty much unstoppable. Unfortunate to Amanda. Doesn't like that. Rashee Rice, we already talked about. Xavier Worthy is someone that you don't just forget about with Rice back. He's still relevant, but you can kind of talk about who would you start over them. So would you start Booty or Shaheed or Leggett? Would you start them over KC wide receivers? Maybe not necessarily over Xavier Worthy. I would still have some faith in Xavier Worthy, but other guys like Hollywood Brown, Juju, those guys, unless you are super in need of a wide receiver because of Bye-Pocalypse, people you're not really thinking about. And then the Kansas City defense, you are starting. They are really, really great. So
Absolutely. All right. Last matchup, we're going to split it up here. We've got Green Bay versus the Steelers. I'll go ahead and start with the Green Bay Packers side of the football. Some easy guys to look at. You're going to have to start Jordan Love most likely this week. I still think that's a good option. He just had a down week, but I would expect that to come back up. You're starting Josh Jacobs always. You can go ahead and just plug Romeo Doubs into your lineup this week. Again, without a touchdown, he scored 13.2 fantasy points. Dotavian Wicks got hurt. That takes another receiver out of the picture. Matthew Golden has been irrelevant. I believe he is droppable at this point. Maybe you disagree with me. If you want to roster him,
tried to trade me for him, and she just said he's droppable.
He's droppable. I don't want him anymore. But Tucker Kraft is a start for sure. Mm-hmm. And then the Green Bay Packers defense is really always a start, and specifically against the Steelers offense, I would feel comfortable with that again this week as well.
All right. And then the other side of the ball, the Steelers, let's talk about go for starts, right? Mm-hmm. DK Metcalf is a start. Jalen Warren is a start. We kind of might feel a little bit indifferent about the Green Bay defense. So we might be going kind of listen to before when we kind of talk about those contextual things. If you have other guys over Jalen Warren, but he is not a sit. We are not telling you do not play Jalen Warren because you probably have to play Jalen Warren. It just really depends on who else you have to kind of buffer that. I would just kind of ride with Jalen Warren. I don't think we're going to see some epic, awful production from him. There are so many tight ends in the Pittsburgh offense, and they all seem to be being used because they really only have DK. Now, this is the one thing I did see, that Calvin Austin is rumored to return in week number 8, so that could change things for the tight ends. If someone like Pat Freiermuth is on waivers or free agency, probably not free agency anymore, ladies, but he is probably a good pickup to kind of fill that tight end onesie spot for you going into week 8. And then we didn't talk about Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to circle back to Aaron Rodgers. He is someone that if you really need a streamer, sure, you can look at old man Rodgers. He is playing his old team, so maybe that has a little bit of a narrative that you can think about. I would go Joe Flacco, old man Joe Flacco, over old man Aaron Rodgers. I have more trust in Joe Flacco. Didn't think I'd ever say that. We didn't think Danny Dimes would get this far, but here we are with him, right?
Did you hear, I think it was Cam Hayward. Before the game, he said it's the icy hot bowl when Joe Flacco. Yes. And I laughed epic. So hard.
Yes.
I was like, that is the epic. Funniest shit ever.
Mm-hmm. I loved it. Loved it. And then the Steelers defense, I'm not going to start this week.
Yeah, don't love them against the Green Bay Packers. That's for sure. All right, guys. Well, that is every single week 8 matchup. Like we said, there are going to be some sketchy decisions that need to be made with sit starts due to the amount of players on bye this week. So if you are worried, concerned, want more specific sit start information, that is exactly why we created the Patreon. You can join the Patreon below. You will see me in there, obviously talking a lot of sit start strategy, and I review every single roster, and I make sure I get back to everyone as long as you make sure you comment your lineup in time. So let's end the segment let's end the episode with our favorite segment, the sweet and spicy starts of the week. And kick us off with your sweet start of the week, my friend.
My sweet start of the week is Javonte Williams. I am loving Javonte Williams. He is also facing his previous team, and I love a player facing their previous team playoff, right? They dropped him because he was being inefficient. There was a decline in inefficiency. He's going to say and continue to say, no, Denver, watch out, because here I come. Who is your sweet start of the week?
Sweet start of the week is just a chronic sweet guy, Justin Jefferson himself, right? It's the typical of all typical, the true wide receiver one. I know he had a down week this past week. I think everyone gets a little bit nervous when that happens. It's always going to happen. You're never going to get a receiver that always overperforms for you. He will come back in his true Devo wide receiver throne this week, and he's an easy, very sweet. We're talking like Moscato Sangria wine sweet. So I love that
glass
for
of
you.
Wine, Justin
Tall
Jefferson.
glass of wine. Sweet. How about your spicy start of the week?
Spicy start. I kind of pulled an Amanda from last week. Amanda kind of did a dual spicy. So I'm going to go Josh Downs.
For the record.
And it did end poorly. I listened to you. But okay, I'm going to go Josh Downs or Alec Pierce. Now, if Josh Downs is injured, then obviously I'm leaning toward Alec Pierce. I did grab Alec Pierce. He did great for me this week. But he's on my bench. But it's okay. If Josh Downs is not injured, he is someone that you're going to kind of be on the watch out. But if they are both really great targets for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is throwing great passes. They're both viable options. So guys to look at that, they're going to step up in that matchup. I think guys to watch. How about you?
I love it. All right. My spicy start of the week is it's high on the decibel spice chart. But with the Bye-Pocalypse alive and well, we're going to go Tyler Allgeier as my very spicy start of the week. If you are desperate for all desperate in the running back room, for some reason you have the handcuff to Bijan, and maybe you don't have Bijan as your running back, and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do? I have no one else to start. Here's kind of the game script that I have in my head. I think the Falcons are going to get ahead a lot in this matchup versus the Dolphins, and they're going to give more time to Allgeier to make sure that Bijan stays healthy. And a very cool, very Kansas City-esque gameplay, right? Where Kansas City was up so much on the Raiders that they pooled all of their players, right? Because they were like, we're not going to get an injury risk. So they'll rack up their points, they'll get their points, Bijan will still fit as irrelevant, and then Tyler Allgeier will get a lot of garbage time opportunities. And that's just my very spicy prediction for the week.
I like
it. So Bye-Pocalypse is kicking your ass this week, and you're going to hold your breath. Yes, put on your adult diaper and hope for the best that pans out, shall we? Cool, but that's why they're spicy, right? Because they're not supposed to be guaranteed, and they're supposed to be a little bit fun. But that is all we got for you guys for week 8. Like we said, if you have any questions, make sure you follow us on social media. We are at Let's Talk Football Sis. If you want more specific roster advice, you can find that below. And just keep in mind, I'm going to go ahead and put the link for email list below as well. Moving forward every week, I will be emailing out waiver wire pickups. That way you also have a spreadsheet of all the different waiver wire pickups. So if you're not a part of our email list already, you can go ahead and get in on that now. That way you never miss a waiver wire email list update. We thank you guys for listening as always, and we hope you have a beautiful Bye-Pocalypse week number 8, baby.
Happy Bye-Pocalypse. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.